Hi, I'm Christy Roberts with Behind the Smiles, and I have the pleasure of sitting down with Tracy McDaniel again. Hey,
Hello. How you
Tracy.
doing?
I'm good. How are you?
Good, good. Excited for tonight?
I am. I'm very excited. And I wanted to bring Tracy back on because Tracy is amazing to talk to.
Oh, thank you for that. I appreciate it.
So, we wanted to talk a little bit about grief and all the different stages of grief and the different things that you may not think of about grief. So, some of the things that you may not have thought of about grief is, of course, it's always a loss of a friend, a relative, a loved one. There's loss of a pet, there is loss of a job, there's loss of a friendship,
Hmm.
there's loss of a relationship. A lot of us don't think of these different things as far as a loss. And so we wanted to just come back and kind of talk a little bit about grief. Both of us have experienced grief in the last couple of years. And we wanted to share just a little bit about what we have done and what's helped us kind of move through grief. I mean, grief doesn't go away, but we kind of move through it.
Yeah, that's true. You mentioned to kind of the loss of a job or a relationship or friend, but grief can also sort of present itself when there's something that's a norm that is no longer your norm, right? So you have a really close friend that moves away, or you go off to college, or you have a job that requires you to relocate. Those feelings that you have, well, it's grief, right? Some of it is
Absolutely.
is it's stages of grief.
Yeah, absolutely. I remember, I think my first feeling of grief was like when I was like maybe 7 and we had to move. And I had a best friend next door.
Hmm.
And I was like 7 years old. And so knowing that we had to move and I wasn't going to see her again, I started crying. I missed her because, you know, she was like my best friend. She was the one I was playing with all the time. And then I'm like, all of a sudden we gotta go. So I think that's one of the things we don't look at, and we probably didn't even think about it. And I'm sure there's a lot of people that have moved when they were younger or something similar, and you never thought about that.
It's interesting. It's interesting you say that, because I had something very similar that happened to me. I had a neighbor that lived a few doors down that I pretty much, it was a brother and sister that I almost exclusively played with. And one day I went to ask them if they wanted to come out and play, and there was a moving van and or truck, and they were moving.
Mm.
That just gutted me. Like, I was devastated. And speaking to my brother or my mom, they're like, "Okay, well, these things happen in life." And I'm like, "But wait, I don't understand how this is so easy for you." And then I think about it now, and the world was much bigger to me back then.
Mm.
If someone moved away, that was, I mean, it equated to, I'm not going to see you again. I don't have a car, I
Yeah.
don't have a license, I can't come to your house, and you can't come to mine
Right.
unless we prearrange that. So that hurt. That was
Yeah.
grief. Like, I was grieving the loss of something, and I think we should kind of talk about that it doesn't just have to be a person. It doesn't have to be a pet. It can be your best friend. Is, like you said, no, they're not even your best friend anymore. You guys are still friends, but you're not as close. Like, that can elicit the feelings of grief, and the feelings of grief are,
Oh yes, absolutely. Losing a friendship and not losing it in a way of how most will think of it as death, but you are losing that closeness or those memories. I mean, you'll always have those memories, but
the
that
ability to make new ones.
connection,
Yeah.
that connection that you have with your friend and whatever may have happened that you are no longer either speaking or what has happened, I think that is definitely grief. It's like breaking up with someone.
For sure, for sure. And the breakups. So I'll ask: do you think that you felt more grief from a good relationship or a not so good relationship? I won't call it bad,
Mm,
right? Every relationship is a learning lesson.
absolutely. Yes. I'm going to say both. So I think either way, if I broke up with them, if they broke up with me, the grief is there. I am hurt. And it may take some time. Of course, you're the loss of that person being with you, you being with them, y'all doing stuff together, whether it's good or bad as far as like how the connection was. I think there's always grief there. And especially if they broke up with me, I'm thinking, how can I bring that person back? Or what did I do?
Right? How can I
You
get them back? Win them over?
Yeah. So I'm like depressed at that time and trying to figure out what can I do to like get that person back. So, I mean, to be honest, I think it's either way.
For me, I remember my first relationship, and that to me felt like the end of the world when that ended.
Mm,
Now, older, wiser, more mature, I've developed coping skills. And those coping skills don't take away the feelings or grief, but it allows me to be able to process it more. And I think that is something that's really important when you feel grief. You apply for a job, right?
mm,
This you think it's going to be your dream job, you're looking forward to it, and you get that can rejection letter saying it's us, not you, but we're not
okay.
hiring you, right?
Oh, some people say that in relationships.
I mean,
it's
that's the saying that everybody has.
it's me, not you.
That that hurts, right?
Yeah.
There's this depression. You could be
Mm,
angry. You could think, well, maybe I'll resend my resume and just change my experience.
mm.
You try to bargain with yourself over a situation that is
Bargain.
not something that you can, well,
That's one
you
of
can't
those
do.
stages of grief, that there's denial, there's anger, there's bargaining, there's depression, and acceptance. And so bargaining is definitely one of those that would be, and like loss of a job, loss of a relationship, you definitely try to bargain at that time. And I think when they say grief and bargaining with death is that some people, and I'm not saying this in a bad way, but some people are like, "Oh, why did you have to take that person? Why you couldn't take me?" or something of that nature. So you're trying to bargain, or in your mind, you're trying to bargain, that part of the grief.
Yeah. You're trying to rationalize, or you're trying to, but wait, right? Instead of the period, you're trying to add a comma. You're doing all these things, and it's all natural, right? It's part of the denial process, and then you become angry, and they're not cyclical, right? We talked about that one day just when we were having lunch, that it's not cyclical, right? Today
Right.
you could feel acceptance. Next week, you're depressed. Then you're angry.
And right, so these stages that are grief. A lot of people feel like you have to go through stage one, you have to go through stage two, three, four, whatever, five.
Mhm.
And for myself, I think I skipped stages, and I think everyone kind of, they grieve differently,
True.
especially for myself. So I don't think I was ever in the stage of anger. Um, eh,
Hmm.
for like my father passing, my son passing, I was never angry. I was never angry. I think definitely in denial, that this cannot be happening. And then, depression. There is a part of depression, but for the most part, I think there has been acceptance. Of course, there is those moments, and I always say grief is like the ocean.
Hmm.
So the ocean can be very calm at times, but then all of a sudden, something that may trigger an emotion, whether it's a song, whether it's something you smell, something you see,
A
and a
phrase.
phrase, and the waves come up, and it is rocky,
Yeah.
and you are crying, and out of the blue, you're just boohoo crying, right? So I think for me, it's like the ocean of, and it's just a calm, and then all of a sudden, like this. And a lot of times, people don't think you're necessarily grieving because of how you grieve. It's like, oh, you're going out, you're doing something, you're partying, whatever. So people think, oh, this person's not grieving, but it's not true because we all grieve differently.
That is true. It isn't necessarily linear, and it's not cyclical. What I mean by that is it can move around. It
Mhm.
can You can miss certain steps in certain stages. For me, the loss of my brother, there was no bargaining. There was nothing to, what was I going to bargain about? He was no longer with us.
Mhm.
What was I going to, oh, I wish it would have been, I don't wish it would have been anybody.
Right.
Not me, not him, not anyone else. So I don't have much to bargain with, or
Mhm.
at least in my mind, I had no right to bargain. Right?
Mhm.
This was God's, the universe's decision, and it was for me to figure out how I can move forward.
Right.
Right? And I think that's important that we talk about is grief is unavoidable. We kind of outlined earlier that there are
Yes.
many things that we can grieve over outside of just it being a person. but you have to move forward, right?
Right.
That rejection letter, the friend that moved away, whatever happens to you, you have to keep moving forward. You must. You can't get stuck in that stage. Whatever stage it is, you have to keep trying.
Yes. And no one is saying that, given a time at that
No, there's no
either.
time.
There's no time, but you do want to move forward. One of the things that I like to do and what has helped me cope in the loss of Darius is I always think he's in a concert, like he's doing a concert, like he's performing somewhere like overseas. And as far as him coming back right now, he just can't come back because he's performing. So that has helped me with the grief of him not being here. And one of the things that I do is go to support group. And support group, I like to go so that I can give kind of an idea of what has helped me as a parent that has lost a child by suicide, and also see what others are doing and how they're, helping them move through the grief of their loss as well. So I think some of the things that, we talk about is how do we do this? How do we move on? And I don't want to say move on, like
Right.
in a way of like I'm moving on and that I'm done with it, because grief lasts forever.
Yeah.
It doesn't go away.
I don't think moving on is really a viable option in grief. It's forming of a new normal. It's continuing to push forward, right? So it's a new normal, right? You lost this job that you loved and you thought you'd be there forever, and well, you're not, right?
Okay.
So it doesn't mean that you stop looking for a job. You get back up, you accept things for what they are. You feel what you feel, but you keep investing and trying and you move forward. And I think that's really important, is to move forward. The worst thing you can say to anybody that's experiencing any sort of grief is, get over it. No,
Oh
you
yeah,
don't get
yeah.
over it. You It's not something that you get over. It's something that you live with, especially if it's significant grief. If
Right.
you lost a parent or a child or a sibling, grandparents, many times people don't get over that. They just adapt.
Yeah.
I remember speaking with my aunt who lost my nephew, or
Mm,
my cousin,
mm.
her son. And I asked her, how does she get through it? And she says, you just push forward. She's
Push
like, you
forward.
never
Yeah.
never get over it. You just push forward. It's developing and learning a new norm, whatever that
Absolutely.
is.
And that's the part of acceptance in the stages of grief is you're accepting where you're at and where they are, or where the relationship is, or not having that job, or the loss of a loved one or a pet sometimes. And so you're having that acceptance, but you're learning how to move forward. Like you said, it's the new normal. How do I move forward? One of the things that I did after divorce, because that's grief, you're
Hmm.
thinking I'm going to be in this relationship
Forever.
forever, like this is it. Um,
This is my person.
this is my person. And this is it. And you just never think of that. And so that part of my life, I went through depression.
Oh, I'm sure.
And one of the things that I did was I journaled. Like journaling really helps because you let out everything. And I remember I used to write poems.
Hmm.
So journaling has always been my way of releasing. So that really helped me as far as moving forward in life after divorce. And music, of course, has always been my big thing. I love music, a lot of different genres, but it has always helped me kind of when I'm in a mood or
Hmm.
I'm sad. You listen to something like it kind of then pulls up your spirit. So I think you have to find what helps you. What is your coping skill to help you move forward? What would you say are some of the coping skills that you use to help you with whatever loss?
One of the ones that really stood out is music, right?
Mm,
Music is the soundtrack of your life. And that is true.
mm.
A song can take you back. A
Oh,
song
yes.
can lift your spirit. Some songs can make you angry, right? It just
Mm.
really, like, they're not talking about me. They don't know me. Why is this song about me?
Yeah.
music is incredibly therapeutic. For me, I learned a lot of really great coping skills in therapy because I felt that what I was experiencing, what I was feeling back in 2020 was really beyond me. There was nothing I could do to just get myself through it. I needed help. So the coping skills I learned, journaling, music, um, talking about it is super therapeutic.
Mhm.
Being being able to sit in whatever you're feeling, that was a really difficult one,
Mhm.
right? But it was important that I acknowledged and I dealt with the feelings that I were having at that particular time. um, that really really helped me. Coping skills, one of the things I also do, and I did whenever I'm experiencing some sort of loss that I don't understand. It sounds silly, but I'll go to YouTube and I'll type out whatever it is I'm looking to understand better. If it was a relationship, right? Or if it was, I really thought I was super qualified for this particular job, and I didn't pass this test.
Mhm.
Yeah, where did I go wrong? What could I have done differently? And I connect with people with shared experiences, people that have gone through something that I'm experiencing now in the past. Something about life is there's not a whole lot of original things we're going to do in life. Someone's done it before.
Oh yeah.
Somebody did it yesterday. Somebody did it last week. Be open to learning from people and their past experiences. It can really help you on your journey to heal and feel better.
Oh yes, definitely. I think one of the things that we don't see is a lot of people trying to work through it,
Yeah.
and trying to heal, because grief is something that we all go through. No matter what it is, we're all going to go through it, and it's how do we heal from it. And the other thing I like to do is working out.
Hmm.
A lot of people don't, they're like, oh, you just work out for, as far as, weight loss or look good. But no, working out does something for your mental. I
Hmm.
mean, as far as like stress, of course, it lets out all the endorphins and everything, but it releases a lot for me. When I'm stressed or something is bothering me, even at the time, once Darius passed, I never stopped a lot of my routines.
It's
And
good.
one of my routines was working out, and it actually helped me. Going to the gym helped me continue to move on and heal through this. So what I would like to say is that, find out what helps you. Whether it's painting, whether it's music, whether it's journaling. Some people like to read.
Yeah.
Reading is one for some.
Be open to whatever it is that could heal you.
Mhm.
Um, Again, as I mentioned a moment ago, learn from others, right?
Yeah,
You're experiencing grief or sadness. There's plenty of resources available. Again, you can hop on YouTube. What are some things that'll help me feel better? And try those. They're common coping skills that we could share with you if you need that help. But
absolutely.
you know, as Christy mentioned, try not to sit in it, right?
Yeah,
Like the stages of grief, try to get through it versus just succumbing to it. I'm just going to be depressed. I'm just going to be angry. I'll just stay in denial. That stunts your future. That stunts your happiness. That will stunt the next great thing that could happen to you because you're not open to receive it because you're in this stage and it's an awful feeling and you don't know how to get out of it or
yeah.
you don't want to get out of it.
Feel it and then learn, how do I move forward? I think the biggest thing is, how do we move forward? We're not saying get over it, because that's one thing that I would never tell anyone. Um, you'll never get over certain situations, especially death. That is not something you just get over. You learn how to move forward in life, and how do you live life at this moment. So feel those emotions, feel what you're feeling, because they are definitely valid, but learn how different coping skills to help you move forward would be one that I would share. Um, Also, we are both crisis text line counselors, and the crisis text line is open 24/7, as far as, not just for suicide or anything. It is open for anyone that wants to just talk and needs someone to talk to, if you don't have a therapist or can't get a therapist, definitely reach out. Crisis text line at 74141, and just be open to sharing. It is private, no one will know, and it allows you to be able to share.
Yeah. Christy and I have had conversations with people about a variety of things, and we're just there to offer support. And there are resources that we may be able to direct you to help you.
Absolutely.
But I think the most important thing that I want to echo is get it out. Talk about it. It's okay. It's okay that this is how you're feeling today. The goal is to get you to feel something better as you move forward. Yeah, that's to me, I think that's what really helped me was continuing to move forward.
Yes. And it's therapeutic just to talk about how you're feeling and understanding that your feelings are valid.
Mhm.
And I think that's one thing that we all, kind of don't look at is, sometimes people don't realize that your emotions, your feelings are valid in how you feel. And that's why I would never say to someone, oh, just move on, get over it and grief. Because no, you don't. You just learn how to move forward in life.
That is true. Yeah, and you could become stuck. You absolutely could. Acknowledge it and try to work through it. Right?
Absolutely.
Like, a very near and dear person to me said, we only get to do this thing once, and we do.
Once.
This is our first time here. This is your first time here. We can learn from each other,
Mhm.
and we're a community that can help
Yes.
get through these things, right?
So, in closing, I just wanted to share, and I want to thank you, Tracy, for coming on
You're
with
very
me again
welcome.
and talking about grief. We'll probably see Tracy again. Of course, we will.
I hope so.
Of course, we will. But if you could share something with everyone before we go, as far as about grief and moving forward, what would be your one top thing that you would share?
So for me, therapy, 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 therapy. Lots of self help, moments to be, you know, in my feelings and knowing that it's okay, and feeling the love and support from the people that were near and dear to me. That's not one thing, right?
Mhm.
But I consider that all of just, how I got through it.
Yeah.
But speak with someone, go to therapy, journal, listen to music, find a new hobby, develop a new hobby.
Yeah.
You can get through this. You can, absolutely.
Yeah, definitely. Um, I think you said it all for me because one of the biggest things for me is how I move through it is music. And, you know, for me, my biggest loss was losing my son. I mean, all losses were hurtful and I grieved them, but to lose my son was one of the biggest losses. And for me, it's listening to his music, and how I cope is just kind of listening, and it brings me closer to him, listening to his music, wearing his shirts, sleeping in his blanket every night. So that is a way that I bring his memory alive all the time with me and hearing him. So I think that you have to do what works for you. And whether it's music, if it's art, if it is journaling, find something that helps you move forward and be able to cope and move forward in grief. So I just want to leave that with you. Um, we would like you to like, share, and leave a comment as far as in how this may have helped you. And I hope it did. So have
Yeah.
a great night.
Last, if they need to speak with someone in a crisis, you can anonymously.
Yes.
We never have to know who you are. You can reach us at.
The crisis text line 74141. And also, we do, as far as with the foundation, I just wanted to let you know that we do help those and give out our gift of therapy. We do have one sponsorship still available, and it is for the ages of 18 to 30. So if you're between the ages of 18 to 30 and you need some help and you want to talk with a therapist, we will pay for your sessions.
That's amazing.
And so if you need that, reach out to us on our website, which is www.behindthesmilesfoundation.org. Thank you for listening and watching, and we will see you again.
Bye, everybody.
Good night.
Take care.